minutes. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 246 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Good to see you again. Some of you we just saw as we were doing a doubleheader here on Thursday night to talk about an amazing weekend of racing. This podcast will focus on the late pick 5 at Aqueduct in the Big Apple. It is Wood Memorial Day, one of the biggest days of the year in New York racing. We're so happy that you're with us to talk about it. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are close to 2,000. I keep saying it. Let's get to 2,000 and beyond. Please help us hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button. That's the like button. And also, of course, hit the notification bell. All of that will help you. It also helps us. It helps the YouTube algorithm send people to this channel. We've been working very hard for you folks. We really appreciate it if you support the channel. Of course, on the name tag there, you can follow me on Twitter at HKravitz. Bottom of the screen, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. You all know the drill by now. If you watched us live a little while ago and you're like, Howard looks different. Hey, I got a change in my New York. I've got the Belmont, got the Saratoga. We got to be ready for the New York show. This Saturday, live. There it is at the bottom of the screen right there. Live Tappa Trace watch party. We're going to start at 4:15 Eastern with the Shakertown, a really nice grade stakes on the turf sprinting. Then right after that is the Bluegrass, and right after that is the Santa Anita Derby. We're going to be covering all of it. Please tell all of your friends and neighbors. Our live watch parties have been off the hook with our viewership. We want to be the same way this Saturday. So please join us this Saturday, starting approximately 4:15 Eastern Standard Time. You can listen to us, of course, also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We've got Power Picks. Look below the video player. We've been working very hard, and if you're sitting at home thinking, how do I support the channel? A lot of ways, and it's not just simply by watching and listening. Please look into the Power Picks. It really helps everyone here, and most importantly, it's going to help you. It's $16 for the entire month. You get them on Saturdays. We had an unbelievable week last week. I gave out a pick 5 that costs only about $60 for over $1,000. Please look into the Power Picks. It will be well worth your while. And then, of course, also, we have a fantastic website. You can find out more about the podcast, hhhracingpodcast.com. I know we have a lot of people already commenting, but you know what? I'm so excited. Let's just get on with it right now. First, from the Saratoga Special and from the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Mr. Paul Halloran, and from the wonderful state of Maryland, more specifically, the East Coast of Maryland. And as you're going to see on this show, a very, very smart handicapper, because we've got some wacko opinions. And this guy I'm about to bring on agrees with me on them somehow, Mr. Pete Visco. Pete, how are you doing tonight?
What's going on? You're like, Meryl Streep, Taylor Swift with your wardrobe changes mid-show. I love it. It's very impressive. Real quick, by the way, for anyone in the chat who was with us in the last episode for the Bluegrass, we got a little something for you here.
There he is.
Little Scooby with some Scooby snacks for anybody's. So there you go. That's the winner of the Bluegrass.
Pete, I don't want to get into personal details and get into stuff that we shouldn't get into, but you mentioned your wonderful son Jackson has a Scooby-Doo, I think, washroom, you said?
Bathroom, yeah.
Bathroom. Can you give us some appropriate details on what's in the bathroom related to Scooby-Doo?
Yes, we have a custom-made shower curtain, which I've had for years. Yes, we have that. We have just some things on the walls. We have a custom-made rug, and then some pictures of him when we met Scooby in Florida. And then I'm trying to think. They're just a little bathroom, toiletry, toothbrush holder, soap holder. All the good stuff is all in there. He's had it in 2 different houses now. It moved from our last house to this one. So my son loves some Scooby-Doo.
Well, I am hoping and praying that you guys never grow out of the Scooby-Doo. Just keep it, even when he's like a senior in high school or college, just keep the whole thing Scooby-Doo, man. It'd be perfect.
Never. By the way, Vale said, I dress like Shaggy. You see, I wear baggy clothes with T-shirt and long sleeves. So there you go.
Paul's got a new hat on. Paul, this is, you're a New York guy. Pete, you grew up in Jersey, obviously. I mean, you guys are East Coast guys. I mean, you love racing throughout the country. Paul, Wood Memorial Day is always a day that sort of, sparks the beginning of the spring/summer racing season in New York. It's a very exciting day at Aqueduct Saturday.
Yeah, I've been to the Wood Memorial, Howard, in the past. I toyed with the idea of going this year, but with the impending Keeneland trip coming up next week, that was just too much on the plate. So will not be there. But it is, unfortunately, it's in a big slump as far as producing Derby winners. If truth be told,
it sure is.
It's in a long slump. So
yeah.
We'll see if that changes. We hope it doesn't change this year because we want the Derby winner to come out of the bluegrass.
Yeah, no question about that. I actually thought Tabatrace was going to go to the Wood like several months ago if I had to sort of plan it out. I thought he might go to the Wood just because he ran so well at Aqueduct, but Todd decided to take Tabatrace to Keeneland. But listen, everyone's sick of Tabatrace, right? So let's focus on the Wood because there might be a big time hit show in the Wood. We'll have to see. That's a big field, guys. Pete's like,
bye, viewers. Good. Thanks for coming.
No, everyone loves that. By the way, let me say this publicly before we get into the handicapping. Paul and Pete give me some crap, especially this week, about how often they're on, and I make them, I'm working them to the bone. Guys, we got to give what the viewers and listeners want, and we appreciate so much. Our viewership and our listenership, if that's even a word, has grown tremendously, not only in the last, 2+ years, but Pete and Paul in the last several months. It's really grown. It's really exploded with all the big races. And yeah, we work very hard and we do it for you guys and we're happy to do it. So no matter what Paul and Pete say, no matter they're complaining, and here's a good word, kvetching, nice Yiddish word there, and griping and moaning about coming on. They're just kidding, guys. We love doing it. We love having all of you guys listen and watch. We can't thank you enough. And if you want to return the favor, Pete and Paul, look into the Power Picks, hit that subscribe button. We've talked about all the ways they can do it, Pete, and they can find out a lot of information on the great website that you've created.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's a good source of information about the podcast as a whole. There's photos, there's articles that Paul has written, including the aforementioned articles about Cody's Wish. And there's also, and if you care more about the Power Picks, you can go on there. There's examples. We also post now, with just a recent thing, we're posting our last 2 weeks worth of scores. So each week we'll update that just to show how the Power Picks are doing. But also on the Power Picks themselves, we put in, hey, here's a recap of what the picks were last week. Here's how they did. And then you're getting 2 tracks so you could view an example on there. So please check it out there. If you like it, there's a link right to our Patreon site where you can subscribe at that point.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to check out what's going on. And so we really do appreciate. I really feel like we've built a great community and family here. This is going to be the 4th of 5 live shows that we're going to have this week, Pete. Paul, you're good. If you're, I thought Paul just left because he just said too much. I know you got some things going on.
Hey, Pete, let's make it clear. You and I, we have no problem with the viewers. It's Howard we don't like.
I mean, we love the viewers. It's just it's like any job,
I'm
right?
out of here.
You like the people you work with. You just don't like the boss sometimes. So what are you going to do?
Hey, listen, I get it.
We're going to tolerate him. We're going to tolerate him, Pete.
I mean, once he wins the contest this week and he starts sending us some side cash, then we'll really like him.
I'm going to be rooting for him.
I think don't you guys own some horses now?
Couple.
Somehow that got slid under the rug somehow. We're all going to Ascot with our tips and tails with the Buchero colt. What are you talking about, guys?
I like that.
Anyway, we're excited to talk about Aqueduct. We also have Jim Miller, as usual, on Thursday nights. Let's not forget about Jim Miller and Hawthorne. Great sponsor. They'll be on after we talk about Aqueduct to talk about their pick for on Sunday. All right, guys, let's jump right in. Aqueduct, big race day. We all know what's going on. We got the late pick 5 at Aqueduct. Let's go ahead and bring it up right now on the screen. Let me go ahead and bring up this. There we go. And, I've been a little bit, I won't say I've messed up, but, guys, how do we not? If we're going to talk about the horses, do I hear a sound? Yes. There it is. Okay. Call to the Pope. You gotta bring it up. We don't want to hear it again. It's looping. Okay, the horses are very excited. All right, we get it. The horses are excited. Okay.
Well, if it was Gulfstream, now there'd be another 30 minutes to post, so
Right.
maybe it'd be perfect.
Don't let me have a flashback to the opening leg of the pick six last week, because I'm gonna break someone's kneecap if that happens. You guys know why. Anyway,
Hey, by the way, real quick, we have my son in the chat, Spider Guy 98. If you want to bring his
oh, hello.
I'm
Oh,
Shaggy.
Spider Guy.
there you go.
Jackson,
my-
thanks for joining the show. He is Shaggy. Spider Guy. Welcome to the show,
son.
Jackson. Jackson, listen. I hear you've been staying up late, Jackson. If you're listening to this, listen to Mom, listen to Dad. Get to bed. Don't stay up too late. I know you're on spring break, I think, this week, but still, make sure you get to bed.
He's at my in-laws tonight and tomorrow, so he could stay up. He could bother them all night. I don't care anymore.
Then make sure you bother your aunt and uncle, right? Bother your aunt and uncle and whatever.
Mama and pop. He can bother them.
There you go. Tom Espinoza. We got everyone say hello to Jackson Visco, Pete's son. There you go. All
Web
right.
Slinger. I love that horse.
Oh, JJ Tibbs. There. Now, Paul, why don't you give JJ Tibbs crap for that pun? You just give me crap, and we got a web slinger reference with the Spider-Man, and Paul just doesn't even hear it. Whatever.
I'm just too tired to pick up on this stuff.
All right, fair enough. Let's get to the races. Now, guys, one thing we do have to talk about, turf racing in New York.
It's back.
It's back. And of course, the weathermen were wrong, Paul, because I was hearing gloom and doom yesterday and today in New York, and maybe tomorrow. They barely got any rain at all. I just looked at the weather. It's going to be absolutely fine. You're going to have firm turf. I am so happy, Paul, that we got turf back in New York. But you know what that means? Possible very slow fractions. So look out.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have it back, and in better news, the main track at Belmont opens for training next Tuesday.
Beautiful.
Of course, the training track is open year-round now, but the main Belmont track, things are looking up, and we are less than 100 days to Saratoga. There's all sorts of positives when it comes to New York racing.
Nah, it's very exciting. Let's jump into the pick 5 at Aqueduct. Here we go. Late pick 5 on Saturday. It starts at 3:44 Eastern time. There's two turf races, or is it three? Three turf races within the sequence, if I recall. The first one is an allowance. They're going to mile a 16th on the turf. They have a few different turf courses that they use. This is I believe the innermost turf course, I believe.
Outer.
Oh, it is outer. Does it say outer? I'm sorry. Where does it? Okay. No, it doesn't say it on here, but it is the outer. All right. It's the outer turf course. These are New York bred fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. It's a field of 9. There's an also eligible who's a main track only, who I'm 95% positive this race will be on turf, and my first love will not get in. The morning line favorite is the number 1. New Guinea, who for Clement and Dylan Davis, and boy, this horse has major second-itis. Let me bring up the banners that, of course, I quickly created. I hope there's no mistakes here because we've had quite the day, but there they are. If there's mistakes, you guys let me know. Pete, we are both going with the 9. Let's go to Paul first. Paul's going with the 5-horse Smokin' Hot Kitty for Linda, and a very underrated turf jockey at Jose Lascano. What did you like about the 5?
Well, I suspect that the way I got to the 5 might be similar to the way you guys got to the 9. I didn't want the 1 at 9-5, and I really don't want the 3 at 7-2. So, I had to go off the reservation a little bit. And as I'm looking, this is certainly price-based, 10-1 morning line. I think she will be all of that.
Yay! Nice. Give him a round of applause.
You're looking at the top turf buyers, Howard. She's within 4 points of the 3 and 6 points of the 1. 2 of her losses are against Open Company, which means this is a state-bred race. Lascano, as you point out, is very good on turf. He's outstanding when combined with Linda, and he's on fire right now. 40% in his 15 most recent races there. So yeah, I'm looking to I am looking to get a price home here to kick this off. And as you said, Howard, if I get knocked out, you know what I'll do.
Well,
Bet the pick four. Bet the pick four,
absolutely.
baby.
It's going to the pick four for sure. Someone in the comments said it's supposed to pour at Aqueduct tonight. Maybe it will, but I don't think it's going to be like, lasting for a long time. We'll see. You've got the 1 in second, Paul. Pete's got the 1 in second. Boy, am I sick of losing with the 1. The 1 who is very logical. And a lot of people on the show know that I've got a little bit of intel, usually from the Clement barn. Full disclosure, let's just get this out right now. I have zero intel on the Clement horses on Saturday, guys. I didn't have time to get in touch with the barn, although I may before Saturday. And if I do, I'll be happy to pass that along. Boy, second.
Hey, Howard, you the one thing you didn't do that me and Paul were astute enough to do, you got the 1 in second who's got seconditis, and you got the 3 who's got thirditis, whatever you would call that. So you got to play the 1 and the 3 in second and third. They're perfect. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You just got to get the one on top now.
Is this just the case for you and Paul where like the horse can win, but I just can't pick this horse on top?
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty much.
At
that price, of course he can win. His buyers he's got the best numbers. Sure, of course he can win, but
we've seen horses who just don't. He was doing so good. You've seen horses who just for some reason just don't like to win, and if you're going to try and have one of those at 9 to 5 morning line, why not take a shot? It's not like we're not talking about we're not talking about Secretariat here, so.
No, I mean, they are coming up. Listen, they are newly turned 4-year-olds. They can obviously improve. They look like they've been working together. So I don't know how to separate the 1 and the 3, really, unless you think McCarthy is more likely to win than Dylan. I don't know, guys. I just don't want either love them. And I've got mad love for Clement, obviously, in the barn and everything. But just from a handicapping opinion, I think the 9 is fascinating. And Pete, I am so happy you took the 9 also. Just it warms the cows of my heart. It just makes me feel good. We frankly have no idea if this horse can run. I mean, she's got to improve. But I'll go first, Pete, if you don't mind. Usually
please do. Please do.
Here's my thought. Let me go full screen. Love the breeding. Love Linda, off a layoff, English Channel, Giants Causeway on the dam side. This race on the 15th, a bunch of next out winners. You could see Smoky Eyes was the next out winner. Actually just won. But I think the first race, if I recall, was a strong race at Saratoga. I remember seeing that. Yeah, there's Smoky Eyes. You see horses coming out of this race. I really like Carmouche. I have a stat. No, I don't have a stat, but Carmouche is good with Linda, I believe. Maybe you have a stat on that. Yeah, really good. First time Lasix. My only concern, and this is very important to talk about, Pete and Paul, this is your 3-year-old. Based on the condition, you've got 3-year-olds going up against 4-year-olds. Little concerned about that this time of year, Pete. For me, I don't worry about that usually starting in like late May, June. That's a minor concern to me. Did you give that any thought at all with your pick?
Yeah, I mean, I had that in the note, but I sort of let the price. I was hoping the price has that a little bit baked in, where whatever you're getting on, a newly turned 3-year-old from the outside post, you got a couple things going against this horse, but I figure at 8 to 1, it's worth taking the chance on a horse that I think potentially. But the one thing you do like, the older horses, at least maybe what they are, whereas these newly minted 3-year-olds could be on the improve. You don't know how much they're going to jump up. Those few months can be vital. Those 6 months can be vital to the growth of these horses. So if this one who's shown some talent can come back and sort of jump up, then maybe there's more talent here than some of these other horses who've already sort of shown a little bit of what they are.
Yeah, no question about it. Paul, any other thoughts in this race before we move on? We've Matt Miller is watching and listening, 2021 BC winner, great friend of the show and all of us. An all points bulletin to this podcast for the hosts and the guests from Matt Miller. I need a sure winner, all caps, of course, sure winner at Aqueduct on Saturday. Odds don't matter. Wow. I don't care which race either, just not the Wood. Doing Naira Bets contest for charity. So Matt is playing in the Great Naira Bets contest on Wood Memorial Day Saturday, and it's for charity. So in the chat, let's help out not only Matt, but mainly let's help out the charity, which I don't know if Matt wants to mention, but I believe it's going to be the TRF. Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. If you have a horse you absolutely love on Saturday, does not even have to be a price other than the wood, please put that in the chat, and that will help the horses of, there you go, of the TRF. So, Matt, we put the bulletin out. Let's see what people say. Any other thoughts, Paul, before we move on to the next race?
No, again, the race, I think how it goes one or two ways, logically with the 1 and 3, or, someone just to really upset the apple cart. Someone mentioned the 6 in the chat, the donk horse, who interestingly is dropping down back into state bred company. I'm just not positive about the turf breeding. Twirling Candy's okay on the top side, but doesn't look like there's much on the dam side. Street Sense Dam doesn't really excite me on turf.
No.
But I will tell you this much, Howard. If a 20-1 shot wins this race, I will not be shocked.
What about the 4 guys? I have the 4 in second, Eau Claire, who you think should be running in a track in Wisconsin, but they don't have a track in Wisconsin, so therefore we got to run it there in New York. Recency, guys. It could play big factor. This horse has got some tactical speed and recency, and is certainly, well bred and well meant. I have Eau Claire in second, guys, as a horse who's been running. I mean, sometimes it's as simple as that. You want a horse that's just been running.
I have this one on when we get to the pick 5 ticket. So I had this one as an A as well. And the horse that beat her last out came back and ran second in a stakes with an 82 buyer, which an 82 buyer would. And it wasn't, finished 8th, but was 4.5 back. So not too bad. But before that was, 2 fantastic races. I saw that. I think Nick said he's from Wisconsin, so he likes this horse, and also, going with the sentimental. So Nick, that's on for you.
Yeah, Prudent Girl is a nice horse. I mean, open company horse, and Eau Claire was, where did she finish in that race? Was 4 lengths back. Okay, I mean, but it's a much tougher class. I mean, so I don't know. By the way, the dam is a quiet American mare called Sheboygan, for those of you in the Midwest, which is also a city in Wisconsin and Michigan, by the way, also. Anyway, a lot of Midwest connections there with the number 4.
And how we should mention, someone mentioned donk in the chat. I think they're referring to the 2. There's 2 donk 3-year-olds. And this 2, now that I'm looking, and Jeffrey Wilson brings up a good point. This is kind of interesting because he won a state bred maiden, and they put this horse, put her right into open company stakes, the PG Johnson.
Yeah.
And, okay, didn't run well there, but, now going back to state breds. So I'll tell you how this race is a headache the more I look at it.
I've got the 2 as a B. I'm very spready.
Me too. I do have the one bomb I have real quick was the 8, Amanda's Folly. I won't get into it too much. Doesn't look great, but since the claim, I like that the form improved, even though it was on dirt, but there is some turf breeding there. So at 20-1, if you're getting a horse who has some turf breeding, who's on the up and up, then at 20-1, I'll take a shot in a race where I think anything can happen.
Why not? Let's go on to one of 2 fantastic dirt races here in the late pick 5. The next race in the late pick 5 is the Carter Handicap. Always a very solid sprint race in New York in the springtime. It's race 8. It is $300,000 is the purse, 7 furlongs for older males. You see, this is a nice field. It's a small field, but it's a field of 7 with some up and comers and some horses that we've heard of before. The Moorline favorite is a horse that's been controversial. Is probably not a fair word, Paul, but this horse has completely turned his life around since Jamie Ness has taken over the training. He's 9-5 morning line. Wolfson is the jock that stays on. Let me go ahead and show the banners right now. I'm going with the 4, but Paul, you and Pete are going with White Abario, who is my second choice, who has run well in New York. What is it you like about White Abario, Mr. Halloran?
Well, just what you said, the race that he's coming out of at Gulfstream has already produced 2 next out winners, coming off a career best buyer, but has 2 works to hopefully mitigate the bounce factor. Safi ships just fine. I'm not the biggest Paco Lopez fan in the world. In fact, I'm not a fan at all. But
wait, Paul, wait. I'm looking back to see if. Oh no, there's no horse back there. Go ahead. That's my Paco imitation. Forget it. Go ahead. That fell flat on its face.
Yeah,
okay.
you could work on that. Yeah,
people at home get it. Come on, if you watch Paco, he's always looking back to see who's coming. Just freaking ride
when we
horse.
hit Pete, when we hit 0 viewers, can we just go to bed, Pete? Is that the plan?
Yeah, let's just plan? Yeah, I have to eat dinner. I haven't even eaten dinner, and I got to listen to this crap. I'm gonna,
But no, yeah, Howard, I don't know. Not only is the horse 4 for 4. He did have a 97 buyer in his previous lifetime, but could someone explain exactly where that 111 comes from? I mean, that's a huge number, especially at Aqueduct in the winter, sports fans. So I don't know. This horse took 8 races to break his maiden. Solid horse, graded stakes placed under Greg DePrima, but yeah, I mean, could he win this race by 8? Sure. Yeah, it's again another difficult race to get off. To start off the sequence, because he could win, or I wouldn't be shocked if he ran out.
There's some cheeky comments in the chat that I just prefer not to bring up. We all love this game, but listen, you got to call a spade a spade. You look at Repo Rocks had some nice rate. Look, he ran 99. I mean, he had some nice numbers for Juan Vasquez. But since Ness has taken over, I mean, who knows what the reason is, but all this horse Pete has run really well. You've got him second.
Yeah, I mean, you can be upset about whether you think something nefarious is going on, but that doesn't have anything to do with whether you think the horse is a horse you're going to put on your picks.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to separate that. You can't. It's like the Baffert, where some people are like, "Oh, I'm going to throw all the Bafferts out." Okay, well, when you rip your tickets up, then go ahead. If you want to say you don't want to bet a race because of something like this, then you have suspicions. Whatever. But if you're talking about who's going to win, then there's no reason why this horse can't win the race. Maybe won't. I mean, the 1 for 12 at the distance is funny. I mean, the last one was, I guess, was that with 2 back. So
yeah, 2 back.
So it was 7 for 12. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But you see that, and you're like, 9 to 5 shot. Maybe doesn't love the distance, but also fired a 111 at this distance.
Yeah.
2 back. So how the hell do you reconcile that? It's hard.
Pete, it is fair to say this is his toughest test of this spring run that he's on. This is a real field. I mean, Paul's got the 3 Expressman who ran a 107. I remember that debut, Paul, because I did not. I don't think I bet him that day. I can't remember, for St. Elias last summer. Just absolutely freaked. Hasn't run back to that though. What kind of trip do you think he's going to get? Because you've got him second. You think he's really live here?
Well, I do, and again, being the sucker for the cutbacks at this distance, I do think I think that he gets a stalking trip here. I don't expect him to go to the lead, but I certainly think the price is going to be right, because regardless of what we think about Repo Rocks or anything else, he's 9 to 5 morning line, and coming off those 4 races is definitely going to get bet. The 5 horses coming off a triple-digit buyer. White Barrio's coming off a triple-digit buyer. This is a very competitive race. As you mentioned, Howard, the 3 does have that 107. The 1 is coming off a 99. So this is a very competitive race. And, I think really the more I look at it, I think you're either in the Repo Rocks camp or not. And in a caveman type situation, maybe you're singling him or just trying to get 3 or 4 others home.
Well, I'm mainly using Repo Rocks and White Barrio, but if someone upsets the apple cart, I think it's this horse on the screen. This is a fast New York bred, but by Lauban out of a Speightstown mare. This horse's speed, he's legit. He ran a hole in the wind last time against open allowance companies. So they have to step up. Yeah. Pete, if this horse gets loose somehow, I wouldn't be shocked if this horse wins. He's got to get to 7. That's the one thing, and he's got class maybe he's got to deal with. But this I've seen this horse run. This is a serious horse.
Yeah, the two notes I had, because I'm with you 100%, and there's other speed in here, but this is the speed of the speed,
Not
and
this
from the
speed though.
rail,
Yeah.
yeah, from the rail should be able to just gun out, but didn't run the bet. The worst race he's run was at 7 furlongs. So you take that for what it is, because every other race was good. And then, yeah, classing up from here. But again, the only thing is there's some speed outside. So even though this one could gun, eventually there could be some other speed. If for some reason maybe this one doesn't break as sharp or something, there could
I
be other
guess. I mean,
speed.
I don't think Little Vic is as fast, to be honest.
No,
I just
no, I
think
don't think so
Little
either.
Vic seems very happy just stalking.
Yeah.
I don't know where's all the other speed. I mean, I think this one gets loose. I don't think he's going to win, but I think he will have the lead at the first quarter.
But I think, but I mean, anytime you can get a horse on the lead who's got talent, I'll take a shot, especially at a price. I didn't talk about Ida Barrio real quick. I was just going to say that's one of those horses that we love that is good enough to run in the, sort of the big route races, the route races, the bigger ones, but isn't up there where maybe shouldn't. That's one of those you cut back to a one turn kind of horse. And I think he's just going to be sort of a different horse. So I think class wise, I sort of like him if I had to pick him, because that class and then the cut back and then the ability to have a little stamina at 7 just seems ripe for a field like this.
Okay. Let's go.
But you know what, Howard, the more you look at it, White Barrio 0 for 6 outside of Gulfstream.
He did run when he lost to mind control, right? I'm going off of memory in the fall or winter.
Yeah, the cigar.
He ran a pretty good race in the cigar mile, but let me repeat: 0 for 6 outside of Gulfstream. That's Pete. Okay. There's a stat. I'm trying to feed the stats of the day, Pete.
I love them. I love it, Paul. Let's do it. It's less work for me to do. I'll just copy yours.
Matt Miller brings up a point, though. Don't forget little Vic, who talk about recency and being in form. Yeah. Coming off a really good race, got romped by Repo Rocks, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But this horse is really in form.
Yeah, Little Vic ran well. I think that was 6 furlongs, right? Because I don't have the up right now.
He's 2 for 2 on the wet and ran his best buyer on the wet. So I wasn't. That was a little thing where I was like, well, maybe he's not as great on the wet track, or maybe he's better on the wet track, and that moved him up a bit. So again, he's got some really good form though. So you never know. Could be both.
Let's go to race 9. Guys, this is one of my strongest opinions of the day in this race right here. Yep, that's right, Paul. Hey, Paul, it's going to be okay. It's all good. Let's go to race 9. Matt Miller, are you listening? Matt Miller. Okay, here we go. Race 9, 5 o'clock Eastern. It's an open allowance on the turf, 1 mile, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. You see the field here. You've got 7 horses with an also eligible. The number 8, know-it-all, Audrey, again, most likely will not get in. She is main track only. You've got a fairly big morning line favorite here in the number 6, Veronica Green for Chad and Jose Ortiz. Let me go ahead and bring up the banners here. Let's see where we're going with. You know what, guys? I'm going to go first. How's that? Okay? I'm going to go first in this race. I've got the 4, Candle. Paul's got the 4 second. Pete's got the 4 third. So it's not as if this is some, cute wise guy long shot. I've got Candle is 7-2 morning line and might go off at that. Here's my strong opinions, guys. Let me go full screen. First of all, I'm totally against expand the map on the win end. I know it's Chad, it's Klarovich and Franco. Guys, I've seen this horse burn more money than I used to burn at the track when I was younger. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I don't think she's very good. I don't get it with this horse. She's going to be overbet again. I do not like the 2. If she wins, God bless her. I think she's a C for me, like just in case. I do not like expand the map at all. Point number 1. Point number 2. Number 6, Veronica Green is clearly horse to beat, in my opinion, for Chad to finish a good third against Salima, which is a horse we talked about with Chad in the Winter Memories. Full disclosure, the 6 is absolutely the horse to beat, but is coming off a layoff. Not that Chad doesn't have great numbers off the layoff, blah, blah, blah. It's Peter Brandt. She's going to be favored. She is clearly the horse to beat. My strong opinion is that I like the 4 a lot, Candle. When you look at Candle, did nothing in her first 2 starts going long. But look what she faced. Be Your Best. I don't know how to pronounce that horse, but that was a nice horse too. She faced good company at Saratoga. Shug gave her a rest, and they finally figured this horse out, and she exploded with an 85 buyer. Yes, I know it was sprinting, going 108 and a little less than 108 and 4. But what I really like, guys, is the last race, and we have to show it. She faced a horse called 30 Thou Kelvin, who came up the rail with an absolutely dream trip. And who came in second that race, guys? Breath Away. Who's Breath Away? Breath Away just won last week in a stake race. And I thought Candle ran very well in this race. It was on the synthetic, which he probably doesn't want the most. Candle was the 6th horse here, and she wanted to show some speed, and she's in this. She didn't break great. She's in between in the fairish colors, and watch what happens, guys. You can see she's in tight. She wants to go, and I can tell that she's pulling a little bit. She's okay. She's in the 3 path, but this is not good. You see her head. You see her head, guys. She's in between. I've talked about this claustrophobic, situation. I do not like this trip where she's in between. But despite that, she ran very well. Now she's in the clear, but she's got to be 3 wide. Here she is in the green. She's 3 wide. The winner is right here, the number 1. And here's Breath Away, the 8 in those Reeves Mucho Macho Man silks. Here's the horse I like, Candle, making a wide move after being in between horses, and she runs very well. She gets 3rd. She's put in tight also, although I don't think this really matters, guys, to me. You're going to see you're putting tight. But she was finishing 3rd anyway. You see right there she had to study, but that's not why I liked her. These 2 horses here, guys, are very nice. I like her upside. I blabbed down enough. I really like Candle. I hope she shows speed, maybe even a wire job, but she's going to get the jump on Veronica Green. There you go, Matt Miller. Candle at probably about 3-1 to upset the field. Sorry for talking so long. Guys, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Paul, you want to take that one? You have her in second.
Yeah, I have her in second. I all logical. She'll be, and she's going to be a B for me, but I might promote her based on my Uncle Howard's strong endorsement.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I do like Veronica Green just because I think that Winter Memories was a pretty good race. I think Salim was a pretty good horse. Went out and tried a grade 1 race in California. Actually went to the lead, but it was a 1.25 mile race, and that was about 3/8 of a mile too long for Salima. But yeah, I think the 4 is logical. I think Nick asked about the 1 in the chat. He said it's New York, dirt to turf. I get that argument, but someone's going to have to find the turf pedigree that says
there is no turf. I mean, there's no turf pedigree, and
none.
Maybe I'll use her as a C, like just in case. But
yeah, Nick is one of our astute guys.
Wires the field. I don't know what to say if that happens.
Yeah, I think it's 6-4. I kind of agree with you, Howard, on the 2. It'd be a defensive move for me in an ABC. Maybe
she's got
a
speed
B,
too, by the way, so I think she could put the pressure on the 1, Paul. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I think the 2 is a case of the horse is going to have to be better than she looks on paper to win this race.
Yeah.
But as far as the layoff, do not with the layoff is exactly 0% factor with Chad Brown training, not 1%, 0. So
do they send the 2 to set it up for the 6, or am I overthinking it, Pete?
I think the 2. I think they send the 2 because that's how the 2 wants to go.
Yeah.
Right. I think I look at the 6 and I pick the 6 as kind of getting a similar trip as the last 2. Kind of sitting off of it, whomever she's sitting off. But the more I look at it with the other 2 races we just talked about. And you'll see on my caveman, I am single to the 6 here just for that reason. I think this is the race you got to be thin, whether it's on the caveman or ABC.
I agree. To me, it's all 4-6. I don't know if you guys looked at the 3, and then we're going to move on. I mean, the 3 is getting back to turf, Pete, but I just don't like the 1 for 10. We've talked about this a lot. No. Maybe you'll be 2 for 11 after Saturday, but I just don't see it.
I mean, 1 for 12 lifetime, 0 for 4 in the top 2 at Aqueduct. You just have to show it at some point, and if that one beats me, then that's fine. Some of the horses, you just can't have them all, so that one's going to take my money, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just 4-6. Any other thoughts, Pete, before we move on about that allowance?
No,
race?
I like the 2 a little bit more than you guys do. I don't love the
Okay.
2 in any stretch, but I do think
Okay.
that there could be some improvement there. And that field that she beat in the last one came back, I think, with 2 winners and then maybe a second in the next 3 horses out. So maybe she could be one that wasn't great, like you were saying last year, but maybe has moved forward a little bit. And then the second off the layoff could be the one. I don't love it in one way or the other, but I don't dislike the horse as much as maybe you guys do.
Okay. Listen, I think we've seen the other Chad win just a few times in our lifetime. So I just don't like this one. This one is just
your 4 scared me mostly because of the sprint. I think the City of Light is fantastic turf sprinting. And I think that horse maybe is just better. Even in that last race, maybe the distance eventually just got to her sort of when she was close and the distance just sort of wear her down late. So that was my only concern. So I kind of bumped her back to a B just for that reason.
City of Light, by the way, is the sire of that monster that Ward ran last week at Gulfstream, the last race, the pick 6. So the City of Lights have shown big time.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next race, guys. It's a maiden. It's on turf. You see at the bottom of the screen, there's our picks. They're going 6 furlongs. It's 6 furlong race on turf, New York Reds. This thing is just, it's wide open. And look at this board. I mean, are you kidding me, guys? Look
That's
at this.
unbelievable.
Look at this scroll at the bottom of the screen.
I don't think
this
I
is
like
a wide
any of
open
those
cluster
horses.
feet. And look at this scroll.
I don't think I liked any of these horses. I was like, they couldn't have switched to one of the graded stakes out and dropped this one back to like the 3rd race or something.
Gosh. It's a field of
Howard,
11.
You haven't switched the scroll yet, Howard.
Oh, maybe that's why we all like the same horses. You didn't switch the scroll. That's why we all like the same horses.
Race 9, right?
No, we're on the 10th.
I did? No.
Trust us. We can read. It says race
9. No, the scroll. The scroll.
The scroll is right. There we go. Now we're different.
Wow. Okay. It's been a long day.
Tell us. It's been a long week, pal.
Well,
all right. I apologize.
Hold on. Paul is very astute.
I effed up. My bad. All right.
I'm still on top of my game, Pete.
Look at this. And look at those picks. Those picks are phenomenal.
Well, I'll tell you what. They are pretty still similar. You guys have both 4-11. The Moorline favorite here is the number 5 at 3-1. Strictly Taboo for Clement and Davis. You guys are both going with Lakeside Getaway, Trombetta, and Paul's man Paco. Who wants to go first?
Pete.
You want me to take this one because you don't want to curse Paco again? Okay, I don't have the most I don't have the most convincing argument. The one thing I did like on this horse, at least on turf, the buyers have increased each one. Now the results haven't really come with that necessarily, but one thing I did like is there's the cutback deck from a mile in the last race. Actually, in the last 2. Those first 3 races was sort of stuck in the back and doesn't look like it was her best game. The last 2, she was much closer, but going maybe a little longer than she wanted. So now you're getting the cut back. Maybe you have a little bit of a different style now where this one can sit up close, was chasing a super hot pace in the last one and still held on pretty well. I think Paco will be aggressive with her. And then the horse that won last time was a nice brown Klarovich first timer. So it wasn't completely unexpected either. So I think this one maybe has a little upside with the cutback and the new running style.
What am I missing with Weekend Rags, Paul?
What are you missing with Weekend Rags?
Is it Abreu with a turf sprint? Is he? I think reading? What is it?
I think there is some speed. I think the speed is what I'm strictly what I was basing on. I think this horse is going to go. I know it's 6. It's the sprint here is 6, not 5. But not knowing what one of the first timers is going to do, it doesn't look like on paper it's that fast. I think Pennington, especially with Frankie Pennington coming into town to ride, I think that they will send this horse, and that's my basis for putting him on the board.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's other speed, and I'm trying to wonder why I didn't have the 11 anywhere. I don't know. It looked like this horse stops, but you know what? In second thought, and this is why I love this show, I've got to upgrade this horse.
One thing, Howard, was
she can absolutely win. Abreu is real good turf sprinters too, by the way.
two back was the moved right up into a stakes race off the second, so
Yeah.
you get a little bit more there. And then the last one did cut the fractions and maybe couldn't hold, but I don't know. Again, if you can get some speed up top, I think. Again, Paul, I don't imagine it's a ringing endorsement. I imagine it's a one of a few that can win this one for sure.
Oh yeah, you got to be spreading. Yep.
Matt, take it easy, big guy. All right, it's been a long. This is only my going on hour 3 of tonight. So take it easy. All right.
Hey Matt, I think you meant this guy, not these guys. I think you wrote that wrong. Sorry.
No, I'm sure that's what he meant. Guys, I've got a wacko horse. Are we ready?
Good. We need
wacko.
one in this race.
I know I think Nick Feldman likes Strictly Taboo, the 5. I watched the replay. I'm not going to show it now. Maybe it was just a means to an end. She didn't do a lot of running, but I know the Clements are very good guys at like giving putting a race into a horse, then moving it up to New York. So that this 5 can absolutely win. I've got her as an A. I just didn't love the replay that I saw. Here's my wacko guy. It's the number 3, Charisse. You look at this horse and you're like, Howard, have you completely lost your mind? No, I have not lost my mind. Guys, there's no reason to show the replay because she did 0 running first time out. There's no trouble. There is no issue. But I'll tell you what I noticed. First of all, it was a sloppy track and she was climbing. This is absolutely a turf horse. I am fully convinced. This is a turf on turf. Look at this. Is a Street Sense is a nice turf sire. Look at the dam side. This is the mare is out of Danehill Dancer Maximova. Who's Maximova? Wow. Okay, long distance, yes, but serious turf horse, right? Siblings, not too much to show from the siblings side, but Sandro the Great was okay. This is absolutely a turf horse, guys, in a race that I have absolutely no idea what to do. And here's what really convinced me. Are you ready for this, Mr. Stat Guy Pete Visco?
Fire away.
Carmouche with Hennig. Carmouche with Hennig. I'm like, this is going to be a stat when I first looked it up. How about 20% with this combination, guys? 31% in the money. And the average winning mutual, Pete, with Hennig and Carmouche, $22.
Nice.
This, I'm telling you, I don't know if this horse wins. This 3 is going to run, guys. I really feel like this 3 is going to show us something. Maybe she will come from the clouds and clunk up for 3rd. I don't know. But this is a complete cluster race, and this horse is going to be a bomb. I think she's going to be like 20-1. I'm using her. She's a B for me. I'm fascinated with this horse. I really am.
I had the 3 as a C more for sort of the same
Thanks,
argument.
Simon. Appreciate it.
I mean, it was one where I'm like, that race was so bad, but I did think the breeding was more turf, so I didn't understand, and it was the slop, so you never know how that's going to go. The only thing, I had a Hennig stat, 0 for 15, first time on turf in a second career start. So okay. I didn't love that one, Fair but enough. Again, I threw it as a C just because, hey, if this one likes the turf, who the hell knows in this field? So
it's the breeding, but the Carmouche angle. If there was some like knucklehead on this horse, Pete, I would completely dismiss her.
No, he knows
Carmouche
what he's doing.
On this horse.
Yeah,
there, who's an aggressive rider too. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how the 3 does in race 10.
Or
all right, guys.
It'll be behind by like 32 lengths at like the half, and then you're just sitting there laughing at yourself. But that's okay. Yeah,
I probably just jinxed this horse completely. All right, let's go to the right banner. Boom. There we go. Let's go right to it. The Wood Memorial, guys. It's a very exciting race, of course. This is a big Derby prep. Grade 2, $750,000 is the purse. Of course, it's for 3-year-olds. Mile and eighth. At least 1, if not 2, of these horses are absolutely going in the Kentucky Derby, at least based on points, without a question, if not 3 horses here. The Moorline favorite is all the way on the outside, the bottom of the screen, for Cox and Franco, the number 13 Hit Show and those Gary and Marion West pink colors. I'm going with Hit Show despite the post. Paul, you're going with a very interesting horse that I've followed a lot this spring. Pete's got this horse second, Slip Mahoney. And Pete, I love you. This is one of my sneaky plays the entire day. Not so sneaky. Pete is going with Croupy. Let's go with Paul first. You're going with Slip Mahoney. Had a tons of trouble last time. Is 6-1 in this spot, Paul.
Yes. I think, there's been a lot of talk about Cox's horses, Howard. This guy really hasn't been, on his A team, so to speak. But, we certainly liked that second start where he got nailed by a neck by the race that prompted us to bet TT in the Derby Futures, I think, right?
Yep.
Thought he ran okay last time. Raised Cane. We'll see how, Raised Cane runs in the bluegrass.
Well, he had trouble, Pete. Paul. He had trouble. He's the
He
11.
had trouble.
Let's show the start and then the end real quick.
And he got underway really late after the trouble, didn't he?
Yeah, we'll watch it here. It was a really weird race. There was a loose horse. He's in that yellow cap there. He just breaks. He's got a little tap of trace in this race. He doesn't usually do that, though. He's usually up close, and he's way the hell back here, and he's climbing, and it's not what you want to see, Paul, as of now.
Well, yeah, I mean, the race is, certainly the fact that he runs second from there.
Here he is
pretty good.
He's in the parking lot, Paul, and makes a big run.
To be, when you're coming from that far back, so now, they're at the quarter pole now, and he's second to last still. And this was the loose horse race. The loose horse ran a monster in this race, by the way.
This one really hurt me in the pick 5. This was painful because I had like the second, third, fourth place finishers.
Yeah, this was a screwy race, though, Howard. It really was. The loose horse presents. It's just a variable that you really don't know how it's going to affect. But usually they just kind of bolt on the turn. This horse stayed to his. I made a mental note. I might have put that horse in my horse watch after the race, actually. I think this horse is a square price. I think the 13's the best horse. Does the post make him vulnerable? Well, certainly more vulnerable than he would be in the 3 through 8. I mean, it is that the start is pretty close to the turn, as the diagram will show you. I'm going to certainly use the 13 as an A, but the 5 I think has a chance to pull an upset.
I've got the 5 as a C. I don't completely discount you, but his best running style, at least Paul, looks like on the lead. I know he closed last time, but it was a slow fig, so I don't think he wants to do that. I think he wants to be somewhere. I don't think he's impossible. Pete, well, let me talk about Hit Show, and then we can talk about Crouppy. This is the horse to beat. It's a horrible post, obviously. Similar to Tapit Trice, I suppose, if you don't think Tapit Trice wants to inside. I know he got a perfect trip last time, and I also know he didn't face much. But everything about this horse to me, Pete and Paul, screams like he's improving. It's Cox. It's Franco. I think he's going to work out a trip. I would never, bet him at a low price here, but he just feels like the horse to beat to me, Pete, despite the post.
Yeah, I mean, I think the post is really the only negative because this horse is definitely improving. The breeding shows that the more distance, the better, and that sort of showed in the Withers, where at 1 1/8, this horse won for fun, basically. Now it was closing into, passing a hot pace and beating some horses that maybe aren't that great, but still was really impressive. This is one that when I do sort of my Derby top 10 each week, this was one that I was always confused about because I was like, I'm just waiting for the next race. Just want to see what he comes back with next time. Also, he's a gray off the pace horse. I love those. So I've always got a sentimental spot for them, but I think as long as this horse breaks well, gets in a decent position, and doesn't need to be super close, but isn't way in the back, then I think it's the best horse in the race. Now, may not win, but I still think it's the best horse with the best upside.
Pete, there's one horse that comes to mind when I saw Crouppy, and I mean, I've seen this horse run before, but when I deep dived, do you know the horse, Pete and Paul, that I thought of when I saw Crouppy?
No.
Does anyone know in the chat what horse I'm thinking of similar to Crouppy? To me, it's like sticks out like a sore thumb in this race. Anyone?
New York related?
Yes.
Like Wood related? Are you thinking of...
Yes. Come on, Pete. You got it.
Bourbonic.
This is Bourbonic
yeah.
2.0. But Pete, this is your top choice, so I'll let you talk.
Well, this is you got to love when the horse doesn't break their maiden after 6 and you got him winning the last last Derby preps. But I'm taking a shot. This is one I had as actually my long shot play in the Risen Star and just broke terrible. was
Yeah,
way
just
too
didn't
far
run.
back. Still came home, with the best time in the field. Now had to pass a million horses and didn't run that well.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a lot of speed in here, and there's a lot of cheap speed potentially in here. So I think if they can go a little wild up front and this race falls apart, similar to the race we just watched, then I think this one is one that if as long as again, it doesn't happen like it happened last time. I don't want to see this horse in 13th. But if this horse is sitting in 6th, 7th somewhere, he's got a monster late kick. And at this distance, I think he can potentially make a move and run into this pace, and we'll see.
Pete, normally I'd wait, but we have someone backstage who completely agrees with you and partially with me because I love this horse. So listen, sometimes you need validation, and I can't think of too much more important validation than from Mr. Hawthorne himself, Mr. Jim Miller. Jim, you're a Crouppy fan, Jim.
I am. That's my horse. I'm with you guys. I think you're going to get the price. I think everything that Pete said is going to work out. I think this horse is going to run huge. Is it weird to say, guys, that one of the best possible preps leading into the Derby has been the Risen Star? That's kind of what it seems so far. Everybody that's coming out of that race is coming back and running huge. So why not? Why can't this horse do it too?
Yeah,
Jim, I mentioned this is Bourbonic 2.0. I mean, there's other speed in the race.
Yep.
Something weird can happen. There's speed on the inside. Hit shows all the way on the outside. I'm not convinced of anyone. This is a dead closer. It's Rapoli. It's Carmouche. It's play. Are we going to get to 12-1 though, Jim?
Yeah. I think you get every bit of 12-1. The horse is still a maiden. You'll get 12-1 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Real quick in the chat, Jeffrey Wilson mentioned the 11, who I actually like as well. The post scared me a little bit just because if this one doesn't break, but I do think the 11 is bred to run, beat Crouppy, 3 back, is bred to run long. Yeah. So the extra distance, and is 2 for 2 going the mile in the 8th. So I had this horse right behind as the others. I just thought maybe a little bit of less experience, but I do like the 11. So I would be happy with like an 11-9 exacta and just blow this whole thing up.
Paul, shout out to the New York bred who you've got in second, and then we're going to go to our pick 5, Arctic Arrogance, who I respect your opinion, of course, Paul. I'm totally against, unless the blinkers off is a factor. This horse just doesn't finish against better company. But listen, you could do worse than this horse.
Well, and I think we look at Vale Place brings up a good point in the chat. The other New York bred here, Shadow Dragon for Mott.
Yep.
Now, Rocket Can didn't run well last Saturday, but didn't run horrifically.
No.
This horse ran very well. I was there for that race. The Holy Bull ran very well. Forte, Rocket Can, Cyclone Mischief came back and ran very well. So, the Fountain of Youth was an immeasurably better race than this race.
Yeah, I agree.
By a mile. So, I'm glad. I appreciate Vale Place. I had kind of overlooked this horse, and I am now going to definitely use this horse. I will use all the New York breds every day, all day, Howard.
Hey, Vale.
Oh, you spent more time, Paul.
Howard.
You just spent more time talking about Shadow Dragon than your second choice, Paul.
Yes, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
He loves the Motts. He's always going to go for the
Mott. I don't think Pete. I don't know. I know you talked about the speed and setting up for Crouppy. I don't know. I don't know how much speed is in this race. And I get you, Howard. A mile and an 1/8 looks like a big ask for this horse, but Hit Show beat him last time. But if Hit Show has trouble,
what is this horse doing though, Paul?
Well, this horse is going to go.
Right. So
I think there's about 4 horses that go. I think there's about 4 that potentially could go. So
Hit Show has to go a little bit. Right.
Well, he has to go a little bit. He doesn't have to go the lead from out there. He's got to get, he's got to get out of the parking lot, to use your term. But I don't know, Pete. Who's really fast in the race? The one's got some speed, right?
Well, I don't even need like hot fractions. I just need speed that I don't love on the top, dueling it out with each other. I don't care if they go super, super hot. I just don't want it to be slow. And I think Slip Mahoney needs to go a little bit. Uncle Jake.
If this horse is in the race, he's going. I don't know if the 6 is going to be here or Keeneland, but the 6 is going to go with Harkey. if he's in the race, guys.
I think Dreamlike, Uncle Jake, Arctic Arrogance, and who's the one I'm missing?
Well, yeah, Uncle Jake's got a 120. What is he gonna do from out there? I mean, I don't
So
know.
I just think
What
that
about
there's
Mr.
some horses
Swagger,
that
guys?
need to go. Yeah, Mr.
There's
well,
a lot of cheap, Jim. There's a lot of cheap speed in this race.
Well, and the thing about it, guys, and like you mentioned, when the speed is all stuck outside, they kind of have no choice but to go.
Yeah.
And then you get the maiden on the inside, who again probably has no choice but to go. I think that's the reason why you're going to see 3 or 4 horses out there, and things will be pretty honest up front. Don't be shocked if you're looking at this race and you're looking at 22 and change in the opening quarter, maybe 23, and they're kind of scooting along out there.
The faster they go, the better it is for good old Crouppy.
That's right.
Crouppy might be 25 back, but it just, and you might be able to time that last quarter, that last eighth, Jim, with a sundial like 2 years ago in this race. I'm telling you, I had Crouppy, I had Bourbonic visions handicapping this race. Pete, I hope you and I are correct, because I'm using Crouppy everywhere. That is my reverse key underneath play of the day. Crouppy to maybe not win, but at least be in the money.
Yeah,
Pete,
I like
let's
that.
get to our pick 5. So Jim's on until 9 o'clock tonight. Pete, your pick 5 is 1, 3, 4, 8, 9 with 4, 6 with 2, 6 with 4, 5, 11 with 5, 9, 13. As you mentioned, you take your 90 plus the 108 from the last show, and it is under 200. So
we're averaging here. What was it? Transitive property? Who said that earlier?
Yeah.
I know.
It's called addition.
Well, and division a little bit. You could divide by 2. There we go. Well, let's make it
go
complicated.
Ahead. Talk about your ticket, Pete.
So my ticket gets a little chalky in the middle. So I'm hoping in the first leg to maybe catch that 8 or 9. But I didn't like this race that much. The 1 and the 3, who were the favorites, have a little second and third-itis. So, and then in the second leg, I just went with the chalk. I like White Abario. Third leg, I went with the 2 Chads. So chalky again, unfortunately. And then I do like that Lakeside Getaway, the 4 in the 10th. So I think if we can get that one at a half decent price. And then when Crouppy rolls by at 22-1, we close this bad boy out and cash a nice juicy ticket. But just in case he runs like crap, I still have Hit Show and Slip Mahoney, and I have a bunch of B's and C's that because I think that race, if Hit Show doesn't win, I think that race could be almost any of them.
This is a tough pick 5, guys. This in a weird way, it feels tougher than Keeneland. I almost never would say New York. Versus,
it's definitely tougher.
Much tougher, yeah.
Well, Paul, it's not going to be that tough for you, because you're going to crush it with your $72 pick 5. Paul's 1359 with 1346 with 6 with 4, 7, 11 with 5, 7, 13, $72. You are singling that Chad layoff horse Veronica Green in leg 3.
Yeah, well, after I was 4 deep in the first 2, I figured I better get on the Jenny Craig plan pretty quickly. So I had a single there, and I'd probably like to be deeper. I could be deeper. I could add 1 in the last race and still be under 100. Speaking of math, so I think those are spreads, and actually that second to last leg, that maiden race is that's probably more than a 3 deeper. This is a sequence begging for the alphabet as opposed to the caveman.
Hey, Paul, you should get like a free T-shirt or something, because your 2 50-cent tickets didn't even get to 100 on today's shows. So
see,
I think that should be. I think Howard owes you like that Belmont T-shirt that he's wearing or something.
Maybe he'll buy me a beverage at Keeneland next.
That's
week.
True. There you go. He can buy you one of those. What was the?
If you
pudding?
stop complaining about how long you've been on the show this week, then maybe I will.
The bread pudding. Buy him a bread pudding. What was it, or whatever the heck it was you were talking about? Buy him that.
Jim, have you been to Keeneland? I'm assuming you have, right?
I have. Yeah, I have. Great place to go.
Bread pudding and burgoo is unbelievable. Both of them. Yes. Have you?
Yeah, I endorse both. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Jim's more of a bourbon guy. I can tell he was at that bar that has only bourbon, like 50 different types of bourbon.
Yep.
and
it was very good. And you have to sample. You sample just a little bit.
You do. Guys, did I single anyone? And if I did, whom?
Yeah, that stupid 4-horse that you like.
Candle, yes.
Third leg, yeah.
Candle.
I haven't watched the show.
That's gonna get run down and
that's
fall
a lock,
down
Pete.
like in the last.
That's a lock, Pete. That's a single lock, Pete.
No singles.
No single. Yeah,
Oh.
he's not even man enough to
Hey.
single his best bet. Come on, man.
Well, I got to use Veronica Green, guys. I might
That's
be
true.
silly, but I'm
Yeah.
not stupid.
You can't single against two Chads. That's pretty stupid. That would actually be stupid.
1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9 with 4, 6 with 4, 6 with 3, 4, 5, 7 with 9, 13. Let me say, you guys made a very good argument for the 11 in the second to last leg. I will find a way for viewers and listeners to use that 11, the Abreu layoff turf sprinter who has not been on turf yet in race 11. I don't know how that would change my caveman ticket there on the bottom of the screen. But anyway, to me, my strong opinion really is you only need 4, 6 and 4, 6 in the second, third leg. You do that, you can spread other places. Look at the last race, Pete. If I had to play a caveman, I got the best horse and I have the best closer in a race that I think could fall apart. I think Krupi's live. I really do. He's not the best horse, but the best horse does not always win. Guys, it's been a great show. It's been a great week, and we're not done, Pete and Paul, because we'll be back Saturday live, 4:15 Eastern. I'm hoping Pete and Paul are going to be there. I actually haven't coordinated their schedules yet, but I'm sure there'll be some people there joining me for our live show. Guys, you've worked your ass off this week. Seriously, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, the viewers and listeners. Paul, you can go back to sleep now. You can get some rest. Pete, enjoy it. Good luck to you guys this weekend. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot.
Take care, Jim.
See you
See
guys.
you, everybody.
Take care. Good luck.
See you, Jim. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, Jim. Thanks for waiting. Thanks for joining the show a little bit early. I've been crazy busy. We had a show earlier today. We did a doubleheader with Keelan. So I'm going to apologize. How's Hawthorne today? Fill me in. What happened?
It was awesome. It was insane. We bet almost $3 million on the card, which for us is a big number. Yeah,
$3 million.
2.925 million for the 9 races today.
Beautiful.
Had
Hold on
a race
second.
over $500,000.
There we go.
And I'll tell you, here's what it is. It's the reason we got off of Saturdays and moved to Thursdays, because you just talked about the great cards on Saturday, the great racing Saturday. I want to watch it as well, too.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to want to watch it. Well, that would bury Hawthorne a little bit. So we moved to Thursdays, and look at today. Okay. We had us in Gulfstream and Mahoning Valley early. And then later on in the day, it was Hawthorne. And that was it. Oaklawn's done with Thursday cards. Fairgrounds is done with their meet. There's no Southern California racing. And we had a big day. So you go out there and you want to showcase the fact that we have the 12% takeout on the win play show wagers, which we were able to do so. A lot of really good pools. We had some long shots that came in today. Track played really evenly, but yeah, it's the reason we made the change, and it definitely paid off for the positive.
Terrific. We appreciate it, and we love. We got a ton of viewers sticking on to watch. Please don't go anywhere. Jim gives great opinions on Hawthorne. Jim, I played the late pick 4 last Sunday, and the 7 comes off the rail. That's the one that like 15-1 come for the inside.
And that was a horse hustled into that
man?
race too from the racing office. It was one of those things that was interesting.
Oh, man.
Orlando Mojica rode that horse, and the one thing you're going to learn if you don't follow our circuit or he goes over to Horseshoe Indianapolis, he will always ride a horse through the wire. And you'll see some guys that'll kind of ease back or whatever and may not ride as hard for 3rd or 4th or 5th. It doesn't matter for him. He will always ride through the wire. He rode a horse by the name of Highbrow today that looked completely beaten at the 16th pole. Looked like it had absolutely no shot. Horse got beaten about that much on the wire. And then the jock, I think, was very confident on the horse that won, but he never gave up. So something to look at when you're looking at your riders. But when Orlando Mojica's riding a horse, you know you're going to get a great effort.
Before we talk about the pick 4, I got one other thing. There's a 3-year-old filly named Mendrell, and I'm sure you know about this horse.
I know very well.
Can we talk about this horse, Jim? And people are like, who the heck is Mendrell? Even I had to look it up.
Can you find the
Mendrell is a 3-year-old filly that raced at Hawthorne. And my big overall arching point here, Jim, is great horses can come from anywhere, and Hawthorne has underrated stock. That's sort of the take that I have here. Mendrell smoked 5 furlongs, 56.4 on March 16th. Excuse me, 56 and 4/5.
2/100ths of a second off the track record.
Won by 12 lengths, got an 89 buyer. What happened to this horse that debuted at Hawthorne? A private purchase for Madacat, will be trained by Chad Brown. This is a horse by Blame out of a Broken Vow mare. Jim, good horses can come from anywhere, and Hawthorne's got good horses there.
And the thing that was really interesting about that race, we've had horses come out of that race and run really well. Horses that were beaten 12, 13, 14 lengths
There you go.
and have come back and raced very well. You talk about good horses that can come out of Hawthorne. I spent the morning on the backside with Larry Ravelli and two Phils this morning who's
Saw the
training at
picture.
Hawthorne. And I asked Larry, I said, okay, what's your plan leading up to the Derby? He said, we're staying here at the home base. This is what we're familiar
so cool,
with.
isn't it?
We're going to train all the way up to the Derby. We're going to have our works at Hawthorne in preparation. And then probably the Saturday or Sunday, the week before, is then when the horse will ship over to Kentucky so they can school in the paddock, get familiarized with everything there. But he's going to keep the horse at the home base all the way up until then and then head to Kentucky.
So no official work at Churchill for two
No,
Phils.
he's going to work at Hawthorne.
That's breaking news for at least me. I haven't. Wow, that's
Larry was talking
listen,
about probably two more works at Hawthorne leading up to the Derby.
the Hawthorne service is excellent. This is not a knock on Hawthorne at all. As a bettor, I don't love that. I'd like to see him work over the Churchill strip, but Jim, he's ran there, and they're obviously comfortable. So there's no kind of they don't have to acclimate him to that strip. I guess that's probably the reason why, right?
Yeah, he's run there and run well. So that's one of the things too. So his preference, and the other thing too with Hawthorne is you keep a little bit of the hoopla away too, because when you're watching every single horse that steps foot on the track, there's going to be cameras on them. There's going to be people at the barn. There's going to be so much going on. When you're at Hawthorne, he's in a 3-aisle barn. He's in the middle aisle, in the middle of the middle aisle. He's just kind of amongst his other horses and that are Ravelli trained horses, and that's it. It's a very quiet barn. It's very laid back, and this horse is very laid back. He walked on the track and stood there for 15 minutes just watching horses pass by and then went about his business. But I like the move, and I'll tell you, the other thing I talked to Larry Ravelli about, he said, I don't care what the post is. I really don't care. He said, the way this horse runs, just get me out of the gate and let me be covered up by another horse. I'll be just fine. Jim,
if this horse wins coming from Hawthorne, that would be a great feather in the Carey family and your family, just everyone. That would just be, boy, that'd be a nice boost for Hawthorne and an unbelievable story. So, all right, let's get on to the pick four quickly. I'm not going to show the PPs. We're just going to show the entries. Again, on the bottom of the screen, Jim, you see your picks. You were excellent last week. Just had one little the third leg. We had a tough beat there. You're going 1-4-3 in race 5. Again, this is Sunday, everyone. This is Sunday. Late pick 4 at Hawthorne starts with a real nice optional allowance. 50 claimer going 2 turns. You're going 1-4-3.
And make note, Howard, there's only 4 tracks, I believe, running on Sunday. So it's going to be one of those where you should have a very big pool on Easter Sunday. So for this late pick 4, you want to jump in. Larry Ravelli right here, Act a Fool, the 1 horse. This is a horse that you have to look to in this spot. He said he had no idea what this horse did in its debut at Turfway Park over the Poly. He's like, you wanted everything to go wrong. Everything could have gone wrong for the horse that day. But then he said, okay, I pulled the horse off Lasix, put the horse on conventional dirt, and it was a completely different racehorse. This horse ran out of the screen. He said, horse is working very well out of that race. He's like, half-mile drill in 53 doesn't seem like a whole lot, but everything he's doing leading into the race is just fine. That's actually going to be a single for me there in race number 5 on my ticket.
And I know some people agree with me on this, some don't. I don't like when there's an optional tag and horses are in for the tag. To me, that's a negative. And I fully understand, Jim, and you're very familiar with condition books. I understand that some of the reason why they're in for the tag is because they've passed their condition. I get it. I still don't like the for sale sign up if I have a choice between a horse that's in for 50 or not.
And especially for a race like this when it's straight 3-year-olds. When you're seeing your 3 and up or your 4 and up, and the horses that have been running through conditions time and again, it's a completely different story. Every horse in here could be protected and would probably never run at this condition again, or maybe run one more time. So is it really worth going in there for the tag, hoping you don't get claimed, and then coming back for no tag and trying? This race may not even go again this meet. So it's one of those things where Act a Fool is not in for the tag. I think everything sets up nicely.
Race 6 is a claiming 8,500, 6 furlongs. There are some conditions in this race here. You got a field, pretty big field of 9. The Moyline favorite, wide open, according to your Moyline, is the number 7, Cece's Kitten for Rodriguez and Julio Felix. You're going 8-7-5, Jim.
Yeah, and it's just looking at the pace scenario more than anything. Jack Van Berg's a horse that's going to show speed. Winging Ways shows speed. King Tito shows speed in here. and CC's Kitten, who I could put in the mix, but Chicks for Free just looks to get a great trip. This horse ran for the 85 in that last out, settled back, closed nicely late. You actually get probably a little bit stronger finisher in the saddle in this race now, and Chris Amy aboard. And that's something that I think will benefit Chicks for Free, and you go a 16th of a mile further. But the other thing we talked about throughout the course of these shows, Howard, it's starting to warm up. So the way the track plays at Hawthorne completely changes. It's not all inside speed anymore. You can come from off the pace and win. That's going to help a horse like Chicks for Free in race number 6.
Jim, did I see close to 80 degrees late next week in the Chicago area in mid-April? Hello.
Here's the thing that I love. Fertilizer is on the turf course. The turf course gets aerated next week, and that's stuff that you have to start preparing for, because when we get to May, you're looking at the start of 4 months of grass racing as well at Hawthorne. So you're going to have a really nice high quality of race, and it's one of those things to add the turf course in there for the summer, something we really haven't ever dealt with, because we're always either spring or fall, and it's not the best weather conditions for turf. So this will be kind of nice to have for summer grass racing.
Beginning of May is the beginning of the turf season for Hawthorne for sure.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, we're looking at beginning of May. Yeah, we want to give a little bit of time, because it's a longer season, a little bit of time for that grass to grow a little bit more.
Smart. We also got a ton of rain, by the way, recently here, so we got to be careful with that. Race 7 is optional, claiming 40,000, 6 furlongs. Open company. There are a bunch of Illinois breds actually in this race. It's a field of 8. The Moorline favors the number 2, Sharp Hero. Mojica's in the saddle. That's who you're going with.
And that's all I think you have to go with in here. Sharp Hero is a very solid racehorse. 10 starts at Hawthorne, 8 of 10 on the board, 3 of those coming as victories. Beat this company as the even money favorite 2 starts back and did it rather easily. That final start in the meet was just kind of a weird race for Sharp Hero. Didn't get away real well. Wasn't the best type of trip. This is an easier bunch. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of Illinois bred horses here that have kind of worked their way through those Illinois bred conditions. Sharp Hero, not in for the tag in this race, as you mentioned, and the horse likes the track. I think a complete standout there in race number 7.
Sounds like a single in his pick 4. We'll soon find out.
Yep.
The last leg of the pick 4 is the main claiming 15. They're going 2 turns. I like any 2-turn races, especially with the cheaper races. Jim, I don't like 5.5 furlongs with the cheaper horse. I prefer 2 turns. I think it's a little more of a separator, in my opinion. It's a big this is a big bulky field of 9. Great field sizes everyone Sunday at Hawthorne. You got to take advantage of it. Moorline favorite is the number 1, Gold Smoke, 7-2 for Bentler and Arietta. You're going 7-9-1 in the last race.
Here's how hard I thought this race was to make a line. Gold Smoke finished 8th, beating 12.5 in that last out, and that's the 7-2 favorite. It's just, it's such a wide open race in here. And when you see my ticket, you'll understand why. Okay. Modifier is the horse I went to on top. I like that this horse is stretching back out. They probably needed that last start, getting that sprint in, because they only had 1 workout going into that race. And then they still ran a decent race.
Wait a minute. Gio Ponte?
Yes,
wow.
Exactly. And this is a horse that might actually be destined for the grass later on.
Yeah.
But the horse is definitely wanting 2 turns. So Manny Perez had a nice winner on today's card for the same ownership group. But when you see my ticket, you'll understand how wide open this race is. But it's kind of a fun way to close out the card, because you'll have the jackpot high 5 for that race, the end of the pick 4 sequence, closing out that Easter Sunday card, and then everybody can go and have their Easter dinner too.
The Florida bred Gio Ponte. Florida bred by Gio Ponte. Wow. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at his pick 4. Here it is, Jim Miller's pick 4. Wow. I love it. I like the creativity here. By the way, Jim was really close to hitting the big Oaklawn pick 5 last week when he was on the show. We both had the horse at the end. That was
Rian Parnay was the only horse that beat me. Yeah.
Yeah, he just didn't run real well, but you were right there, Jim. Your idea was great. I got lucky enough to cash, but
think about this.
I thought very similarly there.
The horse that won the last race was a horse that ran really well in the Hawthorne Derby on the grass last year. The horse had ability. Tonka Warrior, and was a massive price there. Massive. I couldn't believe what the payout was when we saw it, and you hit it on a very relatively low ticket for the cost, and it paid what, almost $1,200?
Yeah, I did. Thank you very much. It was like 10.98 or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Jim's late pick 4, only $18. You don't need to win the Easter egg hunt to have the money to spend here.
Right.
1 with 5, 7, 8, 9, with 2 with the rare all ball from a Jim Miller that we have not seen too much. $18, Jim. The 2 obvious singles, and then a 4 deep, and then hit a 31. Easy game.
Here's the thing: if a single's obvious, why spread and waste your money? You either have to go one way or the other. If the horse is going to be a heavy favorite, single a horse, or I think you have to toss it. So for me, it's going to be a single. Act the Fool is a single on the first leg. Sharp Hero is a single on the third leg. We just mentioned maidens going long, especially maiden claimers. Chaos can happen. Anything can happen at all. I went 4 deep in the other leg, but again, for $18, you don't have to spend a whole lot. You get a lot of coverage. If you make to the last leg, then you can start to look at what the payouts will be and just hope for a price.
No, I mean, listen, sometimes you don't need to overcomplicate matters, guys.
Yes.
This game does not have to be overly difficult if you have strong opinions. Jim, first of all, I want to publicly wish you and anyone else out there who celebrates a very happy Easter this Sunday. If you're a member of the tribe like I am, a happy Passover to everyone out there, which is, of course, a week-long holiday. Jim, I'm also going to throw out, I don't mean to put you on the spot. You do not have to answer right now. We have a live show Saturday at 4:15. We can talk off air. I'm inviting you if you would like to come on, even for a little bit of it. We're gonna have the Shakertown Tappa Trace watch party with the bluegrass, and then Santa Anita is only 5 minutes. Santa Anita Derby, Jim.
I saw that.
Only scheduled like 6 or 7 minutes after that. So you don't have to give an answer, but you're welcome to come on and join us for our live show. It's gonna be a lot of fun. This Saturday. Any final thoughts, Jim, about Hawthorne Sunday or anything else in your world you want
All right, so here's the question that I want to ask you, and it's outside of Hawthorne, because I've seen a lot of differing thought processes. What was your thoughts on Forte's race in the Florida Derby?
We talked in detail in episode 243 this past Monday.
Okay.
We did a recap show, Jim, about the Florida Derby and the Arkansas Derby. Interestingly enough, it was myself, Pete, Paul, and Kyle Roscoe from Bettin and Boozin joined us. Two of us thought Forte ran the better race. 2 of us thought Mage ran the better race. I am clearly in the Mage camp in the Florida Derby. I'm not saying Mage is going to be better in the Kentucky Derby. I'm just talking about specifically the Florida Derby. I thought Mage ran a giant race.
Okay, yeah,
that's my opinion.
Yes, Mage ran a huge race. So I'm in your camp, and I'm going to be in your camp and go a step further. When we get to the first Saturday in May, I can tell you Forte will be nowhere on any of my tickets. I didn't like the way that here's what I didn't like. And here's what I didn't like. And he's a very good racehorse.
Okay.
He was supposed to win that race by 4 or 5 and win easy. I don't like the fact that you had to be set down and work so hard to win that final prep to get to the Derby. And now you're looking at a 20-horse field. So we talked last week how I thought he was going to be a very short price. I think he will be a very short price again. I'm going to be looking for other horses, bombs away. He will be on none of my tickets in the Derby.
Wow. I'm not going to go that far. He did regress in the buyer, but Jim, we also mentioned that actually we didn't mention it because it didn't come out. He did improve in the sheet numbers because he was wide, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But Mage was wider.
Right.
Jim, I hear you. He's not going to be a toss for me. I only have one horse that I don't need to bet in the Derby. You know that is Tappa Trace. So I've already got a future on him. That's a strong opinion. I don't think you're going to be alone in that opinion, but you're not saying we got time to talk about it. You're not saying toss him because he's going to be a low price. You actually don't think he really is better than many others.
No,
is that correct?
I don't think he's going to be in the top 5.
Jim
I don't.
Miller. Stepping out.
If I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's one of those. And again, we've talked about it, and I can always circle back to like what we've said when you're talking to Larry Ravelli with 2 fills. He said he was so happy to win the Jeff Ruby in hand and not have to work going through that race. Yeah. I didn't like the fact that this horse not only had to work in the stretch, had to work basically from the half-mile pull all the way to the wire just to win and not win by a lot. It wasn't something that made me say, oh my gosh, I want to look at this horse and I want to jump all over this horse at 5-2 in a field of 20 in the Derby.
It was a race they didn't want to empty the tank. They ended up emptying the tank. He's got 5 weeks to recover. It's going to be fascinating, Jim. We got a whole month to talk about, and we will definitely have you as part of our shows as much as you would like to talk about the Kentucky Derby. For my good friend, Jim Miller, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 246 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Good luck with your bets in New York on Saturday and, of course, at Hawthorne on Sunday in that late pick 4. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
habits. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.